So last night I received a notification on my phone, as I get like a lot of notifications on my phone. But last night the notification I got that we're going to talk about in this video was from YouTube. I'd woken up just right around midnight or so, go to the bathroom, and I did the thing you're not supposed to do when you're trying to go to sleep, and I looked at my phone. My phone's got an always on screen, so I didn't even need to like open or unlock my phone to see that, it was like midnight or whatever time it was. But I also saw that there was a notification from YouTube, and I found that to be interesting because I turned off YouTube notifications a couple of years ago, honestly, for my mental health. I was getting too many notifications. Anytime somebody commented or whatever, I felt this compulsion to reply. So turning notifications off for YouTube was the best thing I ever did with regards to my mental health. So the notification that I had received from YouTube had to do with a community guideline strike. Now, that didn't really mean much to me because I've had a community guideline strike on my channel since, I'm looking up here, March 29th of 2021. And I want to talk about that a little bit. But I thought the notification that I got last night was in regards to that. It wasn't. But basically, in March 13th of 2020, I uploaded a video to YouTube about the Docker container YTDL. It's a container that will let you download media, videos or audio clips or whatever from all kinds of different websites for archival purposes or whatever. But and like I said, I uploaded that video March 13th of 2020. So March 29th of the following year, so a year and 16 days later, YouTube decided that video violated the TOS of YouTube. And I asked to have it looked at again and explained my side of the case, where this is used for archival purposes, at least the way I was explaining it. And I couldn't be held accountable for what other people might do with it that skirted the law or whatever. They decided that I was wrong, they were right. And no matter how many times I begged and pleaded and submitted appeals or whatever, I was just told that there was no chance that video was going to go back on YouTube. And then that frustrated me because it was my first guideline strike, and that always sucks. But then I went and looked across YouTube, and there were dozens of other creators who had created similar content about how to install or how to use YTDL that were still live and active on the platform. And that really frustrated me, because I felt like I'd been singled out, that they were allowed to keep their videos, they were allowed to keep their stuff going when it was the same content as mine, but I wasn't allowed to have that video. And I was upset about it. I felt singled out by it. And then to top it off, since March 29th of 2021, I've had this ugly notification in my dashboard on the web, like when I log into the browser, of like, you've got a community guideline strike and it sucks to be you. And of course I'm paraphrasing there, but that's how it feels. Now, to YouTube's credit, they have finally enacted a training course for people who have community guideline strikes, that they can, if they get a strike, they can take this course, and after 90 days, the strike will be removed. But if you violate anything within that 90-day period, then you get an actual strike, and that's not removed. And so they've made at least a small effort to help people in my situation, reconcile and make good on it. But of course, that video doesn't get to go back up. I don't recoup any of the lost revenue from that video. So it's an almost, but it's not quite there. I feel like if there was an issue with a piece of content, that YouTube should reach out to the creator and say, hey, look, there's an issue with this piece of content. You can delete it, and then there's no issue. Or you can keep it up and take the hit, or you can take it up, or you can go through our course, and then we'll decide what to do at that point, but we'll communicate with you. But YouTube isn't known for being communicative about anything, including policies, policy changes, anything like that. YouTube likes to keep everything behind locked doors and then create these new policies and retro the new policies to old content that then affect people's ability to create content on the platform that they've been on for years. Lots of channels have their accounts retroed with new rules on old content, where in the past that content was fine, but now that content's not fine. And they lose the ability to monetize their content, or they lose the ability to upload for a period of time because of new rules that weren't in place when that content went up. And they don't give the creator any opportunity to go back and fix that themselves before they're hit with a punishment for something they didn't know was now, punish worthy. So all of that is to say that I thought that this new notification was about the video that I uploaded March 13th of 2020, because I took the course, and that notification, that community guideline strike is set to expire on my channel January 7th of 2024. So here in just 3 or 4 weeks, like that's finally going to go away. As it turns out, after I kind of rubbed the crap out of my eyes and looked at the actual notification, it was a new community guideline strike for a different piece of content entirely. So this new notification that I got last night was actually for a piece of content that I uploaded somewhere between February 1st and February 8th of 2021. I'm looking up here at notes that I took on this. I released a 4-part series over the course of that week about, deploying the Ultimate Media Server with MB and Sonar and Radar and Jacket and all kinds of other stuff. And I uploaded that series between February 1st and February 8th of 2021. And this community guideline strike was for the 3rd video in that installment from almost 3 years ago. The first video of that series was talking about what the plan for that series was and kind of going over what we were going to be using and that sort of thing. The second video was about actually deploying several different containers with one Docker Compose file. The third video was configuring, Sonar and Radar and Jacket and everything to communicate with each other. And then the fourth video was just kind of a wrap-up, a summary, and just missing or covering anything that I may have missed in the previous videos. As it turns out, now that it's been almost 3 full years, it was the third video where I talked about configuring the software that was now causing issues over on YouTube. They found that video now violated their terms of service, even though it's been up for was it almost 3 years? So like 34 months. This video has been live, and it still gets a few hundred views a month. The whole series gets a few hundred views per video per month, even after 3 years. So now that it's almost 3 full years later, now they have an issue with this one particular video. So I went through and I looked at the next steps portion of things, and it turns out that because of the timing of everything, that my community guideline strike will still, hopefully, based on what I'm understanding, will still go away January 7th of 2024. But it's still super frustrating that it seems as though when we create content, we have to go off of whatever information we can glean from the internet, from YouTube, from other creators about what's acceptable and what's not. And every once in a while, YouTube will enact new policies or change policies or whatever, and then go back to content that's been up for years and retro the new policies and the new rules on content that was fine up until this new rule was made. And they don't communicate with the creators like, hey, we've made this change. Here's what you can do with your old content to prevent yourself from having any sort of negative repercussions happen to your channel. But rather than just communicating with us and saying, hey, look, we found this video that's going to cause some problems. If you want to, you can remove the video and then it's no harm, no foul, no strike on your channel. We just want to let you know that this is no longer acceptable on the platform. Or they could do that very, very easily. They could say, hey, look, we noticed that this video is up here. We've changed our rules. You can look through the video and see if you can find what may be wrong based on what you know, and maybe remove that section of the video or take the video down or whatever. And again, no harm, no foul. We're just letting you know that this video could be an issue because of these new rules we've got in place. But they won't do that either. Or they could just be like, hey, look, we've enacted new rules and your old video violates our new rules. So we're going to give you 7 days to archive that video if you haven't already. And then if you don't remove it, we will. They don't do any of that. They just take their new rules and apply it to old videos, and then give creators guideline strikes, or demonetize the video or the channel, or remove the video or the channel entirely based on whatever their whim is at the moment. And the creator almost never wins in that case. So as I mentioned, I've gone through the training. Well, I went through the training in October of this year, so a couple of months ago, so that my first community guideline strike could go away in January. Based on how I'm reading this, I think I mentioned it earlier, I won't have a community guideline strike as of January 7th of 2024. But it's super frustrating to upload a video and have it do well for a year, or in my case, almost 3 years. And then all of a sudden, because of new rule changes that they've implemented without communicating to the creator that the new rules may affect old videos, creators are getting hit with content violations and all kinds of stuff that prevents people from feeling like they can trust the platform to upload their content. It's frustrating to know that any content that I upload moving forward could get hit with a rule change, or could get demonetized, or could get a community guideline strike because of a rule that they enact 3 years from now. That gives me a very, very uneasy feeling about uploading certain types of content here on the channel. So here's what I've done. Here's what I'm going to do. Here's what I'm in the midst of doing. All of that and more, I guess. So the video that I uploaded about in March of 2020 about YTDL, I still have a copy of that on my backup server back over here. That's Synology right there. Anyway, I have a copy of that, so I've uploaded it to Patreon. Not because the video is very relevant anymore, because there are several other options that people can use to do the same thing that are better, that are easier, that are just a better experience. But because YouTube took that control out of my hands, I'm just putting it on a different platform. I know it's years too late, but I feel moderately vindicated in my own stupid brain. Also, the video that was taken down last night, that third video in the series of 4, that video, of course, I've got backups of all of that as well. And that video is gone from YouTube now, and there's nothing I can do about that. I accidentally told it to, filed an appeal because I didn't know what else. Like, I tried to click close, and it's like, are you sure you want to close this? And I was like, okay, fine, I'll click this instead. It submitted an appeal. Whatever, that video is gone, at least off of YouTube. So that video and the 3 other videos surrounding that video are also now live, or will be live when this video goes up. They're also over on Patreon. I'm going to continue digging through my library of content here on YouTube, and I will be taking down anything that I feel that YouTube may have a fit about later. Anything that even tickles my funny bone the wrong way is going to get taken down from YouTube and get moved over to Patreon, because I don't trust YouTube to not change a policy and kill my channel at any given moment. So I will be moving some of my content over to YouTube, some of my existing content from YouTube over to Patreon, is I guess what I meant to say there. Also, there have been several different Docker containers and software bits of software and whatnot that I've wanted to create content about, but because of that community guideline strike that I got in 2021, I haven't made, because I didn't want to run the risk of having something like what just happened happen. So I'm going to make that content. I'm going to make those other videos that I've been scared to make, but they're not going to be here on YouTube. Those are going to go directly over to Patreon. So all of that content, all of that existing content that's here on YouTube that I feel may cause an issue later is going to get moved to Patreon. And any of the content that I feel that YouTube may, for whatever reason, have an issue with is also going to go straight to Patreon and will never see the light of day here on YouTube. And look, I want to be very clear. This is not what I wanted to do. Like, in a past live stream, we had a big conversation about things that I could do that would, I guess, encourage people to want to go sign up and become a paid member over on my Patreon. I wanted to come up with stuff that would be exclusive to Patreon, but this isn't how I wanted to do it. Like, I didn't want to be spurred on by YouTube not knowing how to handle creator content and creator communications and things like that. I wanted to find something else, and I probably still will. But for right now, any of the content that I feel is going to be an issue is just going to live there instead. You'll have access to that content for like $1 a month or more. If you want to pay more, that's great. I'd love that. But I also want to apologize as a result of all of this to my YouTube channel members. I know some of you have been gifted a membership, so this may not affect you if you just plan to let it go. But for those of you who are actively paying to have a YouTube membership so that you can get early access to the content without ads, like, that's not going to change for you. You'll still have that early access early access to the content that lives on YouTube, but there will be content that you won't have access to because it'll never get uploaded to YouTube. It'll get uploaded directly to Patreon. So while this does come as kind of a perk to people who subscribe over on Patreon, where they will get access to content that channel members will not get access to, there's also a bit of a perk in doing this for me, if I'm being completely honest and selfish here. YouTube takes approximately half of any of the money that I generate here on the channel, whether that's ad revenue, whether that's donations, memberships or subscriptions, tips, any of that kind of stuff. YouTube takes approximately half of anything that comes out of your wallet that's meant to go to mine, whereas Patreon only takes 5%. That may not be true for everybody, but I got on Patreon very, very early when Patreon was still very new, and they had a policy that anybody who joined at that point, they only had to share 5% of their revenue. That later changed. That number has gone up, but those of us who were early adopters of Patreon got grandfathered into that plan, and they've stuck true to their word. Unlike YouTube, where YouTube likes to change their mind all of the time and affect people's livelihoods, Patreon has been very, very solid about sticking to their guns and not changing their policies randomly and negatively affecting a person's ability to generate a livelihood, their income, whatever you want to call it. So I will still be creating content here on YouTube. It'll still be the same, like I'll find a cool Docker container and I'll share that with you. But there are other Docker containers that I can't share here on YouTube any longer. And those things will go directly over to Patreon. So if you're interested in that kind of stuff, if you're interested in getting early access to content with no ads, that's no YouTube ads, that's no baked in ads, I would prefer that you go join Patreon rather than becoming a channel member, because you'll have access to more content and I will get more of your donation than I would if you did it here on YouTube. So that's my plan going forward. I hope you understand where I'm coming from. I hope you understand that this is just something that I have to do to help ensure that my channel isn't in jeopardy from YouTube changing its rules later on and retroing those rules to when those rules didn't matter or weren't in place. So that's where it is. I'm going to be focusing, obviously I'll still be, building content for the channel here, but there'll be additional content over on Patreon that I can't put here any longer. So yeah, that's it. That's the rant. That's the stuff I got to get off my chest and let you know that if you want more content, go join Patreon. The options there start at like $1 a month. And of course you can always donate more than that, but you can get early access and ad-free access to my content and extra content for as little as $1 a month. So I think I'm done rambling. This is literally the 4th time I've recorded this video due to technical issues, but that's it. I'm going to wrap this up. And again, I want to thank you guys for spending a little bit of your day with me today and listening to me whine and rant and whatnot. But if you haven't left, if you don't plan on leaving, hopefully I'll talk to you again here real soon in the next video.